All right, everybody, welcome back to a very somber episode of the Texas Tuesday.
Bang, 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 bang,
Not much.
bang, 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 bang.
This is gonna be a short episode. Nothing
So
really to talk about from last week. Really, no games to talk about this week. We're here so we just don't get fined.
Our legion of fans demanded it. They said, "Where is it? Where are these guys?"
There's not even a good game to talk about tonight. Maybe NFL, but
no, we've had plenty of time to reflect, to celebrate, to dissect, to mourn.
The loss of Aaron Rodgers. You're right.
To mourn.
The loss of Aaron Rodgers. That's really the story of this week. We can talk about Aaron Rodgers, whether he will come back or not.
Well, we're going to take the best from week 2, a monumental week 2 in so many ways, and we are going to package it all up.
There are certainly more games to watch than anything that's coming up this weekend. I'm wearing black. I've worn black every day, but you've been wearing that shirt for 10 years, so finally a weekend where it makes sense, I guess.
It finally it fits. It feels a little softer. It feels a little, just more right this week. Absolutely.
Well,
because Texas is back.
Texas beat an average Alabama team. We're all very excited. You are not gonna tell me. We go back to predictions. I did say that I saw Texas very likely making the playoffs. All right?
You did.
I said it for all the reasons that I think are here. The downside is that I thought Alabama would make the playoffs also.
Yeah, you did.
I would like to adjust that statement. I don't think there's a lot of people. I think a lot of people have. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only smart person in the room here. But a lot of people had Alabama picked, and a lot of conversation this week was that was a wrong pick. Alabama will not win the SEC.
Well,
the question is just going to be who the heck is.
I don't think by any stretch they're out of it. I will say that they have some glaring deficiencies that have probably been there for a while. They were masked by quarterbacks. Outstanding first draft pick quarterbacks. It was a game that the better team won. It was a game that I think, all dynasties die at some point. And I'm not writing the obituary on the Saban dynasty, Bama dynasty yet, but I do think it's got the feel for it. It certainly feels like some of the ingredients have been added. It's just a question of are they gonna crank up the heat, stir it around a little bit, and come out with the finished product, and it is done. Ideal. But
we're now in year 3 of the NIL, or in year 2?
3.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're seeing here.
You could be right. My brother sent me the fine bomb day after all the people calling this fine bomb show, and that seemed to kind of be like a little bit of a trend. Some of these callers being like, Saban's not going to be able to compete in this NIL environment, and that was in the press conferences 2 years ago. That was the warning shot. But I mean, you still can't tell me that Bama squad is not full of talent. Are they just getting the most out of it right now? I mean, certainly the quarterback. Milroe, is he a running back playing quarterback?
Yeah, it certainly looked like. That was his greater talent. Yes, he throws the long ball well. Did Texas play their best game? You've got Ewers, who is averaging 22% on passes over 20 yards, and yet he's knocking them down. First career touchdown pass over 20 yards, has 2 of them, and they were not just 20 yards. 49 yards, dropping them in a basket. I mean, I'm not saying that's his talent level, but Miller was not at that level.
No, I don't think Texas played their best game. I think and in so many big games, you have to have a few breaks go your way, and I think they did this year as opposed to last year. I was rewatching the game in that first series when Jatavian Sanders, in my opinion, catches the ball, gets hit, and they ruled a fumble, and they ruled an incomplete pass, right? There was a fourth down play where Quinn never got the snap, and since it was fourth down, only the person who fumbles it can pick up and advance it, but he never had possession, so they ruled. I mean, they got a couple breaks, but they still dominated on both lines of scrimmage. They didn't run the ball very well, but again, I think that Bama defense is still pretty legit, so I'm going to give them a pass on that. But Sark called an amazing game plan. I mean, again, rewatching it, just how he was able to sort of just engineer, dissect, piece things together, set things up with certain players, using X-Man heavy in the first half, and then kind of use him as a decoy in the second half, opening up a lot of one-on-ones for other receivers. The most impressive thing to me as a Texas fan, the most impressive thing, the thing that I loved watching anything more than the whole game were two things. One, their ability to come back after negative things happen. They kept answering the bell. It seemed like almost every series we get pinned back deep, and they would answer with a good long drive to give the defense some rest. Bama threw the long touchdown to go up 16-13. Texas immediately comes back and scores right then, take the lead back. And then the last thing was they got the ball with 7 minutes and change left in the game, and they pretty much ran it. I forget how many times they ran it, but it was overwhelming majority, and they never gave the ball back. That just was not something I was expecting. I was literally expecting, okay, they'll probably run it a couple times, punt, Bama gets the ball back, and then we'll have a chance to close the game out. I was not expecting a 7-play drive to close the game out. And I think for a lot of Texas fans, that mentality has been missing for years. And so was very happy to see that. Great game, phenomenal game from start to finish. Definitely think again. Yeah, it's not by far. You're right. It's not the best Bama team we've ever seen.
Total yards by Texas, nearly 500.
Total yards, it was 454 for total yards.
Plus, didn't you guys have a punt return for a touch?
No,
I'm thinking my game. Never mind. Miami did that. I saw a disaster somewhere. Special teams on the other side.
No, I mean, like I said, the one thing I would like to see in the ball is control the run better. Texas only had 2.8 yards per carry on 37 attempts, so I'd like to see that get better. But again, that's still a really good
yard.
What's that?
Still over 100 yards rushing.
Still over 100 on 37 carries, yeah. But able to close it out at the end. 7 minutes left to go. And inflict the will. And that was so good to see. It was so it got you really excited. It got you really excited for what this team can do. Yeah. So could not have been happier. And I think this is the game that they've always played well in, dating back even when Charlie was there. They've always played, for the most part, competitive in big games. It's the Baylors. It's the Texas Techs that trip us up during the regular season. This team feels differently in their mentality and how they're going to handle this. So that's
What's the
encouraging.
average age? It's not a young team, right?
Um, well, no, it kind of is. I mean, you've got all sophomores or freshmen. I think all sophomores minus you got one senior on the offensive line. The rest are sophomores. And you've got one
I thought like
senior.
they made a statistic like the entire starting line was starting from last year too. I would
It
assume you
is.
did.
Yeah, first time all five linemen have come back in a long time. A long time. I forget the year too, but no, it's a fairly young team. If you include, there's only one senior on the two seniors on the offense. Trying to think if there's any other seniors. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 seniors on defense, and that's it. The rest are, yeah. So it's a young team, and to go into Dennehy and do that. I had a really good friend who was at the game, and he said it was one of the best crowds he's been a part of. He's been to a lot of Texas games, even away games. Didn't have nice things to say about Bama fans, though. So I thought Bama fans would be a little bit more courteous. Maybe they were just
– You're not in the SEC yet. You haven't earned any respect.
That's it.
There's no secret handshakes for you.
Oh, we got to get into we got to get invited to the dance to get respect for the dance.
You got to be in the inner circle.
We're still viewed.
Yeah.
Viewed at the kids' table.
Yeah. Now you just did messed up.
Oh man, no, but definitely don't think we'll have any problems in the SEC watching them dominate the line of scrimmage either. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this great win. We'll see where it stacks up against other wins, big ones they've had, depending on how the season goes. But phenomenal win. Phenomenal win.
For sure, they've got to be sitting there with eyes on the prize at the point because, like we've discussed, there shouldn't be any physical challenges in the Big 12. No. The only thing that's going to happen is you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah,
I don't think OU putting up 28 on SMU impressed anybody. Not putting up 81 the week before and trying to flex their muscles. If that's the best you did, that's the best you are. That's not. I don't think that's a concern for the Texas team we saw last week. Baylor played really well against Utah. I don't really know what was going on there, considering what happened the week before.
Weird.
But even Tech, given Oregon trouble, it's like Baylor was awful and Tech was awful. They might have both still lost, but they certainly played really better teams much better.
Well, and I've heard several people talk about it on various forums this week about how winning can sort of be contagious, and so can losing, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many games we watched Charlie just choke away and lose, and for years I was, how many one-loss games did Texas lose? It can be a habit, and certain trends happen, and both Baylor and Tech losing the first week and then coughing up the game essentially the following week. I mean, that sort of stuff can build momentum and go down that path if you're not careful and sort of infiltrate your mindset, your confidence, that whole locker room. And if you're not careful, it can really get south fast.
Well, that's where the coach really matters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Colorado's playing a couple levels above where their skill really is, but yet they're doing it. Deion's got what for him, and I think that is what's important. We can discuss the state of the AM situation, and really, I think what happens, maybe not this week, but what happens afterward is going to be determined by what the coach do with player development after a challenge.
It's
my reflection on the Texas OU thing. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I agree with you. The better team won, and that was maybe what was the biggest stark difference. Was I heard everyone saying, "Look, on paper, Texas is the better team." I would have assumed, okay, maybe there's no lie there, but be that far off. But Brian Denny at night, Saban, not wanting to lose to another assistant, he's going to get them to play better. I really think that team is as talented as they maybe are on paper. I think Milroe throwing 2 interceptions, ball plays, trying to run, like you said. And I kind of thought about it in this context. Who's Alabama's look without looking at a camera? Who's Alabama's running back?
Oh yeah, right.
Who's Alabama's receiver? Who's
Right.
best defender? This is not the years of Najee Harris and Mark Ingram and the guy on the Titans. I can't think of his name right now. And Calvin Ridley and Devontae Smith. It's not that team. You don't have Tunsil on the line, or just like the people that you look at and you go, absolutely right now they would be incredible in the NFL. I think you look at the Alabama team and you go, I don't know who any of these players are. None of them are headline makers. Even Milroe only got named quarterback a couple weeks ago. And he's well known because of recruiting. That's about it. That's the Alabama team that there is.
No, and I think that was glaring. And maybe it's been glaring the last 2 years. They don't have
playmakers,
a legit playmaker.
No,
outside of the backfield.
After Bryce Young lost Devontae Smith, it got harder. And then he was still a playmaker last year, but still. And I think that's that NIL potential thing that we're talking about here.
Well, but what's weird is I'm even looking at like 24/7 recruiting rankings right now, going back to 19. Bama number 1 in 19, in 20 Bama 2, in 23 Bama 1, in 20 Bama's 2. Like you can't like.
They're still. You're right. The rankings are still there.
The rankings are still there. The talent is still there. There's just no playmakers that they've developed, and I wonder if it goes back. There was a shot during the game. I don't know if you saw this. I forget what the play happened before, but Milroe comes off the field and they do a split screen just like this, and Milroe's got the phone in one ear, and the other shot is Tommy Reese up in the booth, and he's got his head in his hand like this. And he's like, it's almost like he doesn't know what to do. He was so dumbfounded, like I don't know how to call this game right now. And I wonder, did Saban finally miss on hiring his assistants?
An assistant.
Yeah. Did he hire maybe the wrong guy in Tommy Reese? Because you look at that game, some of their best plays were designed QB runs, but they only had like 3 of them. Mm-hmm. You've got a thoroughbred in the backfield. Why are you trying not to get him more designed carries to do what he does best? It was weird to go back and look at it and see and watch the game and see the different styles in play calling, where you had one guy on one side who had complete command of complete confidence with his quarterback, and the other guy, Tommy Reese, and just he didn't know what to do. He really didn't.
Saban has always done well. He is the delegator, the manager. He might just not have the right personnel.
He really. I on top of your comment about not having the right weapons, I think that was pretty glaring, because even watching it with, as most of the general country would have been watching, you're watching as an impassioned fan. I'm watching it, like for what it is. And I'm literally have watched a lot of Alabama football over the last 10, 12 years. And I'm looking at it like, do something. Like there was just like, they didn't have anything. Whereas in the past, it's like, we know who's going to do something. And it's like, oh, there they go. Oh, there they go. Of course. And it was like, who's out there? The guy who got shown the most was the Alabama corner, who just kept screwing up half the time with interference calls. I mean, like, honestly, he was like the biggest face other than forgetting his name. Correct. That is something that is very uncharacteristic of Saban too. 10 penalties, 115 yards.
A lot of penalties. Yep.
A lot of penalties.
And
not just penalties, but crucial
third down, pass interference.
Yeah. I mean, there was the one play, I was watching it again today, where they flushed Miller out of the pocket. I want to say it was in the second quarter.
How many times have you watched this game?
Like 3 times.
Every day. Come on, turn it on.
Oh, don't get me wrong. By the end of summer of next year, when I've been in my gym and I have nothing else to watch, I'll have watched that game like 10 times.
Yeah, Longhorn Network's just gonna keep it on repeat.
They got nothing else. But he was flushed. He throws the ball, should have been picked, but it falls in for a touchdown into Burton's hands. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going crazy, and then they bring it back because of illegal man downfield. It was a lot of those plays that were just third down calls that made them first down extended drives. That just the timing of the penalties was really uncharacteristic of Bama. But again, I don't think I'm not ready to write the book on the obituary of the Bama dynasty. Like I think most
season.
Yeah,
some people can ride that.
Yeah, he's got a stud quarterback coming in next year too. That's more of the Bryce Young model, and so it's gonna be interesting to see if they kind of did they make a mistake trying to go more of a ground and pound. So I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, Quinn was amazing. He's definitely a different player than he was last year. Sark looks like a different coach. So there's a lot to be excited about going forward. Absolutely.
Yeah, it seemed like a comfortable team that was well oiled.
Yeah,
that's just how they look. So
yeah.
On the other hand, our did not was kind of right back. It started strong, hit a couple bumps in the road, and just really couldn't gain any traction. The offense scoring over 30 is okay. It is what it is, and that's even with 3 interceptions. But
2 interceptions.
2 interceptions, 2 interceptions, one lost fumble.
One fumble, yeah. I'm looking at the stats right now. I gotta admit, I did not get to watch the first 2.5 quarters because of the Notre Dame delay, because I didn't have ESPN News.
I switched over. It was not the defense was probably for me the biggest oh crap. Like that defense should be just fine. I seem to not have an answer. I hate it when you play a team and all of a sudden the quarterback looks like they could be a Heisman contender. And I know that the QB for Miami was highly recruited, was freshman AAC player 2 years ago. He just played really well. We didn't have an answer for his connection to that Restrepo kid. There was something I noticed, and it wasn't just like all over the place, but on multiple occasions, our team was slipping on the ground.
Really?
Wegman would do a 3-step drop back, and he'd slip. Back foot would slide out. His first interception, second one was like an arm punt sort of throw, Hail Mary sort of thing at the end of the game. It is what it is. But his one interception was right in the middle of the field. His receiver was right there, and wide open as the receiver cut, he just slipped. So he dropped to the ground. The ball went over his head into the defender's hand.
Man, I gotta say, in all the years that I've heard a million excuses from A&M, I've never heard the grass excuse. I've never heard that one. I'm impressed.
Look, I don't know of short cleats. They certainly didn't. You could go watch it. And I was looking, I'm like, oh, he slipped again. He slipped again. Even the announcers said it a couple times, like, A&M.
Okay, I will go back and watch it. Yeah, I will.
So there was there was that.
Go to
There was
4-inch studs instead of 3.5.
I have no idea. I have no idea, but there was that, and then Miami had
Adidas, what the hell are you doing?
Miami had one touchdown where guy cuts in the end zone, and our defender just fell down, and he's just standing wide open. So a couple things, but there was a more than one occasion like they're just slipping. So I would have assumed a team travels with multiple pairs of cleats, but who the heck knows? So other than that,
that's not uncommon to hear in games where, like, if it's like a late December game and they just can't get traction, like you're the sideline reporter. Yeah, I talked to so and so, and then all the receivers changed their cleats at halftime. You know,
right? You would assume you have the cleats, the backups, longer cleats or whatever. But regardless,
so I'm looking.
It was not. It started strong, and then it seemed way too conservative on the offense for me. Just the offense did not seem very explosive. It didn't seem. I mean, running was actually okay. Running backs performed pretty well, but no super long passes. Special teams was there to begin with, but massive amounts of penalties, big mistakes. Miami capitalized on everything. They played a great game.
So
all I can really hope for is that they get very ranked. They're actually a good team.
So look at the stats. Wegman threw the ball 53 times.
Right.
For a 6.3 average, 2 TDs, 2 INTs, 336 yards. I mean, it didn't run the ball that great. Amari Daniels, 18 carries, 62 yards, 97 total yards in the day. What's crazy is y'all held Miami to only 77 yards rushing.
No, they didn't need to rush. They're passing all over the place. I don't think they had a strong running game. And then once we were behind, you have to pass to catch up. And we were down before halftime, and after that it was a two-possession game the entire second half. So you're just throwing the ball.
Van Dyke, 21 for 30 for 374, 5 TDs, a 12.5 yard average.
That's crazy.
So let me get your take on this, because you watched the game, I didn't. But I saw this last year with Texas, where they had their number one receiver, Xavier Worthy, and it's almost like they force feed him the ball to the detriment of the rest of the team. And I'm looking at the stats. Evan Stewart, 11 catches for 142. But no one else on the team has more than 4. Are they trying to force feed it to I mean, Stewart is a stud. Are they trying to force feed the ball to the detriment of the offense?
No. What was his overall statistic? Wegman
Wegman was 31 of 53 for 336, 2 TDs, 2 INTs for 6.3 yard average.
Real quick, I'm gonna actually switch over to my phone just because my battery on my computer is going.
Well, and the reason I bring this up is because looking at the Texas game, this was the first game I had really seen them not try to force the ball to Xavier Worthy. There was 5 players for Texas on 24 completions that had at least 3 catches. You had 5, 3, 5, 3, and 4. And that was the first game I'd really seen where they didn't just shove them the ball. Oh, hey, there's 2 of you.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Not actually sure if I can. Let's screw it up.
You look better on the middle screen. Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that was one thing that as a Texas fan last year really, really bugged me, was there's other players on the team and they continuously, I mean, several games, Oklahoma State game they lost was a perfect example, probably had like 20 targets. I mean, it's just, I don't think you can, it's too easy to bracket. It's too easy to double team a receiver when he's your only option. And I had noticed that with Evan Stewart a little bit last year, where maybe they target him so much because he is good. But again, that's why I was like curious on your take, is watching that game, just seeing how many receptions he has versus everyone else. And it looks like you got Noah Thomas with 4, Reuben Owens 3, Anais Smith 3, Jake Johnson 3, Amari Daniels 4. So all those guys, 2 of them are running backs. And Anais Smith, who would I assume be your number 2, or is he number 1? Is your mic on?
Can you hear me?
There you go. Now I can hear you.
I don't think I think Evan Stewart's number 1. Anaya Smith is number 2.
Okay.
Noah Thomas is probably number 3. 4 is probably Moose Muhammad,
who had 1 catch for 15 yards.
and he just hadn't been playing very much. And this is what I didn't listen to any press this week, but it's either only Evan Thomas is open or Wegman's trying to force it. But the game before, it was not just Evan Stewart. It was Noah Thomas had 3 touchdowns. So it's one of the two. I definitely saw Evan Stewart getting open. I also saw him make some ridiculous mistakes. Like, he would catch the ball at the 9 out of 10 yards to go and like run backwards to try to loop around people and then get tackled at the 5. And it's like, just dive forward. He could have had a score, and we got like a field goal off it. I mean, mistakes like that, I don't know. I'd have to listen to Petrino and see what Wegman was doing. But Van Dyke just spread the ball around. We did not have an answer for their pass attack. Not even close. So, okay, heads up. If the computer dies, we lose recording.
Okay, how much longer do you think we got?
I got 8% left, but in that bottom half.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll leave it at this.
Well, yeah, wrap up your kind of A&M thing. Then we can.
A&M did not play their best game. They did not leave it out on the field. The defense has me highly concerned because I expect to see just as electrifying offenses. I know, Tennessee somehow only scored like 20 points against a nobody last week, but I don't think we're going to play an Ole Miss, a Tennessee, and not have serious trouble. I had concerns about DJ Durkin from the beginning. He was certainly a significant downgrade from Mike Elko. I don't think he was great at Ole Miss. I don't think he was great at Maryland, I think it was. So I don't really know what the deal with him is. So I'm concerned there. My greatest hope is that Miami is actually a really good team. I mean, that's it. I know that they reloaded. They went to the transfer portal. They have all new coaches. If it can happen in Colorado, maybe it can happen elsewhere. And Chris Ball just has got a really good staff. They certainly played really, really stinking well. What just pisses me off is, like, I think by the end of the game, or even in the second half, there's more Aggie fans and even Hurricanes. Like, it's like everyone bails and goes to the beach. And it's like, heck, gummit. But that's all I can really hope for, is that it's a loss, but it ends up being a good loss. 1, for a learning experience, and 2, hey, you lost to like the number 10 team in the country or something like that. So we will see.
It's crazy. They outscored you 48-23.
Yeah.
Basically in the span of 3 quarters, 2 minutes. After y'all got a 10-point lead.
We went up 10-0 so fast and really could have made it 17-0. And I forget what happened. Something happened. We turned the ball over. And then, yeah, it was just, they just chipped away. And at that point, the defense just didn't show up again.
How much of this was on Jimbo?
I don't know. I haven't listened to any of it. I mean, look, if the defense can't stop anybody, I think it's Jimbo's responsibility to have Durkin doing something. And if he's not the guy, That's a problem because he's not a defensive guy.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where is Jimbo hot seat wise, you think, after this?
Depends on if Dion wants to come to College Station or not.
Oh man. For all you new fans, go back and listen to episode 2. We covered this.
No, that there was. I've heard talk about it. I doubt Dion goes anywhere until the kids are out of. He's not gonna move. He's not gonna move the team again. But he's gonna have money thrown
But I
out.
don't think he's going to College Station either.
Oh,
No.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know how bad that loss is.
Yeah, right. That's what, on the Texas win, people were saying like, well, how good is that win? Where's that rank? It's like, I don't know. It's a really good win.
Yeah.
But I don't even put it in the same neighborhood as the 05 Ohio State win.
If Miami's really good and they go to the ACC championship and then A&M doesn't lose anity else, I do not think anybody looks at that schedule and goes, "Oh, but they lost to Miami." They're like,
"Oh, absolutely not."
They lost to the team in the ACC championship.
Yeah,
it is what it is. So I doubt that becomes the case. Although I could certainly see Miami against Florida State for the ACC.
Yeah. I think we'll find out the real Clemson soon. If they're North Carolina didn't look very good. Taking App State. Yeah, no, a lot of man. I didn't see 33-48. I did not see that at all. Win that game.
Nope.
That's crazy, and it's
yeah, definitely a surprise. All right, let's do a real quick run through of what we're going to say the top 10 games of this week are.
Okay, go.
All right. Not a ranked game all week, but we do have LSU at Mississippi State. LSU favored by 10.
In Starkville, I'm going to lean. Man, I think betting wise, I lean towards Mississippi State if I'm getting 10, but I can see LSU still pulling it out in the end.
Exactly how I'm feeling. Yeah. I think they win. They're the better team. Mississippi State seems to be playing pretty well. 10 seems like a lot. I haven't seen LSU do anything. Kansas State at Missouri, 5.5.
Ooh, sneaky good at Mizzou. But I don't know much about Mizzou, so I would probably take K-State. Will Howard, I think, is legit.
I think the Big 12 will have its eyes on that. Of course, there's going to be more fodder for people to try to harp on the SEC, but old rivalry games, those are always fun when they get played. South Carolina at Georgia, 27.
Oh, I think Georgia I can see 50.
We're not going to have a ridiculous game this week, but we're going to have some games that indicate whether the team's a real deal or not. Yeah. Kansas State won, that LSU game could be one. Can Georgia just absolutely manhandle South Carolina? That'll be an indicator. Just where are they at?
I think Georgia may be chomping at the bit for this game to play somebody real, and they may not hold back.
Yeah. All right. This one's going to be fun. Minnesota at North Carolina.
Man, after watching Minnesota barely beat Nebraska at home and then seeing how bad Nebraska is, I gotta think North Carolina is going to come to play at App State too. So I tend to think North Carolina may take care of business.
Yo, this is 7.5 and over under is 49.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little bit suckerish.
In Durham, it's like Chapel Hill. I could see North Carolina putting up 40 alone.
Yeah, I was not impressed with Minnesota.
All right, Washington at Michigan State. What could have been a really interesting game now
is a really interesting game
without their coach. What is going on with all the sexual allegations coming out of Michigan State? I mean, Lansing is something else over the last 10 years.
I tend to think they want him out, and they were trying to find a way to get him out personally.
Well, he certainly is fighting it, but man, that guy was like the most talked about coach 2 years ago.
He was. I don't know. I think Washington, I mean, it's going to looks like decent weather. I think Washington could go out and smoke them. That could be a situation where the players just don't know what's going on. And they're already maybe looking to transfer. I don't know. Washington could be on a mission.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Yeah.
I think they are on a mission. They're on a mission to prove everybody you have to have the scoreboard and the style
Yeah.
point if you want
Yeah.
the West Coast. Tennessee going to the swamp. Florida. Can Florida get it together and play better at home than they did on the road in Salt Lake City?
Man, we'll either look back at this game and say Tennessee, that was the classic look-ahead game to Florida, or we just say, man, Joe Milton, Tennessee, may not that good. I tend to think Florida keeps us close. If it gets up to 7, I'd definitely play Florida. I
think the line is 7.
Yeah, I mean that's the play at home. The Swamp 7. Is it a night game?
I don't know, but I'm actually surprised that the over/under is 57.
It is a night game, 6 p.m. ESPN. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I depending on the juice, I could see Florida pulling the upset. I really could at home.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting. Yep. Those teams have put up points yet at any game.
Nope.
So 57.5.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. BYU at Arkansas. There's another Big 12 SEC matchup.
Interesting.
So weird.
At some point, I think Arkansas is going to play better than they've shown. I really do. Maybe this is the game.
This was about the point that they did it last year. After week 2, they just kind of got it together. It is a -10.
This is a game that'll be an indictment on Sam Pittman as a coach and as a culture. I think too.
If you're a diehard Arkansas fan, you do not let BYU come into your house and beat you.
I agree. I think Arkansas comes to play, though. I just don't think BYU is that good.
So that'll be a big indicator game, I think, for a lot of people. Now we're going to have a Big 12 matchup here. TCU at Houston.
Ooh.
7.5.
Give me TCU. Give me TCU by a lot.
That good?
I don't think U of H is that good after you had UTSA at home. I don't think UTSA is as good as I thought they were, so maybe I'm wrong on that. I think TCU comes out with something to prove after being embarrassed by Colorado and being the laughing stock of college football.
Yeah.
I still think they'll put up points, and I think the defense will play good enough to keep it maybe 14, 17, like that.
Okay, go back 12 months ago, and nobody would have believed that we're saying this, but all eyes on Boulder, Colorado State at Colorado. 22.5.
Did you see what the coach said today, the Colorado State coach?
Well, could you not? I mean, and I almost wonder if it just feels like it's a script at this point.
It does.
But Jay Norvell, it's like, oh, they made it personal. They made it personal. And, I don't really know if that's a good lesson to teach people in general. I suppose it works in football, but
why give him
to go through like, oh, they made it personal. Like, you're gonna have a chip on your shoulder about a lot of crap in this life if everything becomes personal to you.
Man, I agree, but why give Dion an inch of motivation? Right. I mean, like, did you ever hear Belichick or Brady or Saban? I've never heard them give an inch of motivation to any player or any team.
I heard Casey Smith say a good point. I mean, 1, this is stupid. 2, all better is Colorado by 1 million. But look, you're a no-name school, so you might as well throw your hat in the ring and get a little bit of press. And how are you going to do it? Like, nobody's paying attention to Colorado State, and now people are going to pay attention to Colorado State. I actually caught, and I don't know if this is an accurate statistic, but more people watched Colorado, Nebraska than Texas, Alabama last week. That's crazy.
I heard Klatt say something like that, and I got to go back and look because I know that ESPN game was the most viewed regular season game since like 15. Yeah. But I go back and look. But yeah, no, it's nuts. Maybe you're right. That's a good. I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. That could be a good point.
Hey, all you got to do is say a little something here, and we're going to get a lot of attention because attention's attention.
I still think it's Colorado by 1 million, though.
So you would take them. You would take 22.5. Yeah. I mean, they did beat Nebraska by more, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Unless it's fool's gold and it dries out, I don't know. There's definitely going to be people who are going to say all year long, is Colorado the real deal? Which Dion, he'd say it to me. You don't. I'm like, maybe I don't believe, but
I mean, this Colorado State team is allowing 556 yards a game.
There's 2 games. Yeah. You know if they played?
Well, wait, it's one game. So one game. Okay. Yeah. So Washington State put up 50 on them.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
By a million.
Crazy. Okay.
Right. Bring a charger next time.
I thought I need to just buy an extra one. I'll leave them in 2 rooms.
Nice.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
We'll
Texas back, baby. Bang, bang.
Until they're not. Go Wyoming.
That was fun. See you guys.
Bye.